Greetings, Internet. Welcome to Aaron Plays, and I hope you're doing fantastically well. Well, this will be my second episode of Sixth Fleet, where we're going through the introductory scenarios so you can learn to play the game with me. The first episode featured submarines. This one, it's a bit more of a hunting the carrier ships, might be not as in transport ships. There we go, hunting the transport ships. Yeah, it's called Convoy to Naples, and effectively it's Soviet submarines hunting down um, American convoys. It's not a particularly long scenario, but there are some, we've played with submarines, now we're playing with some surface ships. So, if you can hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and any comments will be much appreciated. But let's go down the map and see what is actually going on. This is an opposed scenario. Harry and I were playing this, me getting back into the game. He's been playing it a bit more recently than me. Same as what we did the submarines. So, as I say, this one's called Convoy to Naples, and it features a few Soviet submarines plotted around the map, and an American convoy here and here, and they need to get to Naples, which is here. So, as it says on here, no unit may use its SSM value, surface-to-surface missiles. Base hexes can't be attacked. Surface units and base hexes can be attacked. With the exception of Naples, US units occupying base hexes can be attacked by torpedo combat. We're going to see a fair bit of torpedo combat in this. In the previous one, it was mainly the anti-submarine warfare that we were using. Air units can move into and through all hexes of all countries. If a cargo CR unit is damaged, treat this as destroyed, i.e. sunk. So even just damaging it. So remember, each actual naval unit has two sides, a normal side and a damaged side. So if we bring up a submarine, for example, here, as you can see, going through the values again, the little 2 at the top there is its movement rate. The 6 below that is its damage value. So if it has damage equal to half or more but less than full, it's damage, it gets flipped. If so, in other words, 3 to 5, it'll be flipped. 6, it's sunk. 1 to 2, paintwork scratched. The little N is its surface-to-surface missile, so it has none. And then you've got the name, the silhouette, and such forth. Below that, you've got the number 3. That's its anti-submarine warfare number. We won't be using that in this particular scenario. The SS is basically saying it's a Soviet sub, non-nuclear. And the N next to that is its anti-air value. And the little number above that, little 12, that's the most important number. That is its torpedo number for this particular scenario. So it says, as soon as a US unit enters Naples base X, it must be removed from the map. It cannot become active for the remainder of the scenario. The Soviet player is allowed only one action segment for his submarines, since he has no surface or air units. The US player has 2 action segments for his surface and air units. So if you remember from the first video, or if you haven't watched the first video, there are 3 action segments where you can choose surface, air, or submarine. Okay, well, as the Soviets have only got submarine, they can only choose submarine. And the US have got no submarine, so they can only choose surface and air in each of the action segments. We'll go a bit more in detail on that as we're doing it. The game length is 10 turns, and the victory conditions. So there's a little chart. It says use the chart below to determine the winner and the level of victory. Victory depends on the number of US cargo, the CR units that reach Naples. So if they get 8 units to Naples, it's a decisive US victory. If they get 67, substantive. 4 to 5, marginal. If they only get 3 units, it's a marginal Soviet victory. 2 units, substantive Soviet victory. 0 to 1 unit is a decisive Soviet victory. Okay, so if we look at this naval force here, all right, so the first 2 ships there, the FF, those are frigates, and then there's 3 actual cargo ships there, the CR units in that force. And in this force over here, There are one, two, three, four, five cargo ships and two frigates, the FFs. The US have got two destroyers here, and again, looking at their numbers, the number six or the number seven on the barrel are their ASW values. So those will be good for hunting subs, which the Soviets have. So that's the parameters. There's a whole historical spiel for it, but I'm not going to worry about that. We have the objective. We have what's going on. So this was a post play. Um, I was playing the Soviets, I think. We did this. So I'm going through the log and strat air. Right, okay. So the sequence of play, the first thing that happens is strategical air in the scenarios. If we're playing the full um, advanced game, there are other things, political things going on, random events, weather, and such forth. But in the introductory scenarios, we're just concerned with the basic phases. And the first one is the strategical air phase. Now, it's only the Americans who've got air in this map. So they've got that RCN unit there is a recon, and they've got another RCN there, which is a recon. And so they've got a total of three recon air units, whereas I think the Soviets have none. Okay, so they can use those to detect the Soviet submarines. So yes, the American needs to allocate them. So strat air phase, okay, and he's showing where he's allocating them to. There is a whole separate charts that we can use for this. Let me just bring them up just to show what they look like. Strat air. So there's this little. Can we bring that up a bit bigger? There we go. Box where if we were both having strategical air, we would place the counters on these little charts, like in the Atlantic Sea Zone, if they were on recon mission, tactical coordination, mines, or intercepts. You can use fighters to intercept enemy aircraft in the recon phase, in the strat phase. We would allocate our aircraft to this. The Soviets got one and the US have got one, then we compare and then we resolve it. As there's only um, I'm going to say Germans. The US that have got the recon is just showing where they're going straight away rather than go through that whole procedure. And he can detect each of those submarines. So, oops, I was playing the Americans. I must have been playing the Americans because I'm saying all on recon. So, yeah. So each one of those submarines has now got a detected symbol on it. Okay. And the air are returned. And they can't be used during the normal sequence of events. So there is a strategical air phase, which is in the AM turn of each day. So if I just bring up the turn track, okay, which is here. So every third turn is night, which doesn't really impact much in these introductory scenarios, other than you return things like cap and such forth. But again, we haven't got any of that. But in the first turn of each day, so 1, 4, 7, and 10, there will be this strategic air phase, okay, where the Americans will be able to do their detection. They could, if you notice one of these RCNs, so it's got a range of 70, that's the number at the top there, and it's got a SSM value, which is at 20 on the opposite side of the US, and a range of 2. But it is quite specifically say that no SSMs can be used in this scenario. But below the P3, which is the type of aircraft, that number 2, it does have an anti-submarine warfare value. Not great, but available. And he could use it to attack rather than use them in the strategical air phase as an option. The other thing could use them for is tactical coordination. So I keep saying him, me. I could use him for tactical coordination if and when I come to trying to attack his subs and so forth. But I've used them all to detect his submarines. Each one of those recon units can detect one submarine. If he had surface units, each one could detect two surface hexes, fleets, or whatever, task forces in two separate hexes. As it were, that's all detected as is at the moment. Let's get rid of all those nice move arrows. So the air are done effectively for until turn 4. It's the next time the air can be used. Okay, so skipping on, not doing logistics. Okay, task force phase. Okay, so we didn't have this in the first episode. Task force. We can create task force with these naval units. Okay, you must have a minimum of, I think it's 4 ships to make a task force. The advantage of a task force is they improve defenses. Rather than being an individual target, submarines will struggle to get into the task force because all of the ships in the task force can be used as their anti-submarine warfare phase. So to create a task force, you just basically just placing markers on there, place task force markers, and then you place the ships in a task force display, which I'll show you in a second. Once I've skipped a few phases. Okay, so is it this one that we're using? No. There we go. Let me bring this up. Right, so Task Force 1, Task Force 2. Okay, the order here is from this unit is the top of the stack. Top, bottom. Okay, so it is useful, or when it comes to, especially when it comes to anti-aircraft defenses, to because the ship, if a ship is attacked, it gets a defense of the one underneath it as well, close defense. So it won't make much difference against submarines, though. Okay, so those are the two task forces: Task Force 1, Task Force 2, with their assigned frigates and the cargo ships. So let's just minimize that. Next up, we have activity cycle. So in the activity cycle, there are certain phases that we won't be using in this scenario. I'll mention there'll be a cap phase, mine-sweeping phase, and then we have the action phase. The action phase is the meat and potatoes of the game. And in the action phase, as I said earlier, there are 3 action segments. First action segment, second action segment, and guess what the next one's called? You guessed it, the third action segment. In each of those, you roll a dice to see who is active first. Odd, it's Soviet. Even, it's NATO. Okay. So action phase, and we're using the markers on here. So the US have got 2. In fact, they've only got 1 because they've used all their air already. There's only 1 action phase per turn in this particular scenario. If you had all 3 elements, air, subs, and surface, you can choose which order you do them in. So if I was the Soviets and I won the die roll on the first action cycle and I chose to do subs, the next player, the US, could choose any of their 3. So they could choose, let's say, their surface. Then on the second action cycle, you roll again to see who goes. And then say it's the NATO wins, or US, they've already chosen their surface. So they've now got the restriction of air and subs. So say they choose subs. The Soviets then would choose anything but their subs, and so on. And that way you interact with whatever you want to activate in those phases. Once all 3 active segments have been done, that's the end of the action phase. And I say that is the main meat and potatoes of the game, the main core of what we're looking at. But in this particular scenario, we only have US doing surface because their air have been allocated already, and the Soviets doing submarines. Okay, so 6-sided dice, as you can see, it says a 4. So surface movement for the US. Now, the task force moves at the slowest element in it. So let's see what we've got here. Boom, boom, boom. Right. Can I zoom in a little bit on that? Oh, of course I can. All right, let's just make that a little bit bigger. Boop, 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 boop. Right, there we go. So there should be a Task Force 2 marker there. I assume there will be one in a sec. There we go. Okay, so Task Force 1, the speed of the units is at 3. 2. So that's these cruise ships, cargo ships are quite slow. Okay. Um, yeah, they are quite slow. They can only move 2 hexes. Now remember, it's 10 turns they've got, and they need to get to Naples, which is that hex there. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's no loitering around. They can't just like wait for the destroyers to clear. They need to move. Task Force 2, okay, their cargo ships are a little bit faster. They go at 3. So again, that's 30 hexes of movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. So effectively 8 turns at full pace. So again, they can't really loiter around. They've only got 10 turns and they've got to get there. Remembering that they need a minimum to get a marginal US victory. They must get at least 4 of those to Naples. Okay, let's move it. Right, TF1 slowest unit has a move of 2. 1, 2. That was exciting, wasn't it? Hold your breath. I enjoyed that. Did you? Task Force 2, slowest is 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's just zoom a little bit on the action there. All right, so that's it, boys and girls. That's all we're going to be doing. All right, then these guys, all right, moving from here, they've got a speed of 4, so they're quite fast compared to what we've seen so far. 2, 3. Their aim is to sink as many subs as they can, or at least hinder the subs so they can't do too much damage on the cargo ships that are coming through. That's my thought and plan anyway. Trying, because there's 4 submarines there, so try and do as much damage as possible. Okay, over to his submarines. Right, so the submarines, he just started moving over here. It's got a movement of 2, so not too exciting, but you can see they're already sort of like gathering like sharks. Now this sub, the super sub, SN means it is a nuclear submarine. Look at the speed on that. That's faster than most surface units. 5. Damage 7. That is a nice bit of kit. Anti-submarine warfare, 9 as well. 18 torpedoes. It lacks a little bit of the torpedo. Well, that's only got 12. So that wasn't good. That's only got 12. Oh, it's pretty good compared to the other submarines in this scenario. So I'm thinking of the scenarios I'm playing at the moment. Which some of the Soviet subs have 22 torpedoes. So compared to the other submarines in this particular scenario, it's pretty rock solid. Okay. And it moves in to engage. Now, why is he able to attack me there? Because I don't think he's detected me. Because I haven't got a detection on me, but he's adjacent. So I think that detects. Actually, I don't think it does. I think we made a mistake there. As soon as I move whilst I'm adjacent to him, he can attack, but he shouldn't be able to attack there. But we've done it. So that's an error. Yeah, because detection There are two types of detection zones: limited detection zones consisting of the 6 hexes immediately surrounding a unit, and extended detection zones consisting of the 12 additional hexes surrounding the limited detection zone. Only surface and submarine units have detection zones. Air units do not. Okay. So there is a detection phase, which we did with my recon units. That's how they detected his submarines. But at the moment, an enemy surface unit or stack of units performs a gunnery, ASW, or SSM combat against a friendly unit, a single detection marker is placed. At the beginning of each enemy surface unit or stack. So no, we shouldn't have done any attack there. The detection status of enemy submarine units is determined individually. Surface units. Right, the detection of enemy surface units determined by hex. As soon as the detection marker is placed on all enemy surface units, yeah. So he should have not attacked there. We've done it. It is an error. It's going to show you the submarine combat. What would happen normally then is as soon as that force moves adjacent to that submarine, then it is detected. Yeah, I just double check. Should I detect that? Well, I was learning the scenario. So you're seeing that slightly incorrect. And what I could have done in the next movement phase is I could have moved away out of his limited detection zone. It's if you move from one limited detection hex to another that you get detected. That could have made quite a bit of difference, but we've done it. Just let you know you're aware of it. So he says 15 factors to Samson. Okay, so he can split his torpedo value of 18 into various units that he's attacking. So let's bring up the surface pool here. I wonder if I can get this to be a little bit smaller. So he's attacking Task Force 1. So he's attacking Samson with 15 factors and 3 to Stark. Okay, so if I bring up the combat results table, there it is there. All right, he's hitting with 15 and 3, 2 different columns there. All right, so the next thing we look at is ASW defense is 10. Right, so how do you get the ASW defense of 10? We got 7 plus 3. ASW defense of 10. She wouldn't do that. Okay, so if we look, I can't zoom this anymore. Torpedo combat. Active submarine may attack 1 or 2 adjacent detected surface units in the same target hex for the torpedo value. So you're attacking 2. May not attack base hex. +1 to die roll for each tactical coordination. He hasn't got any tactical coordination. That would be an air unit that's helping. So combine ASW value of up to 5 units, including submarines and target hex. So that's why I can use my 2 units. And it says +2 to defense roll if target hex is in a task force, which it is. So I will make a defense roll based on my ASW 10 and then add 2 to it. So rolling, die roll is a 3. +2 is 5. So here is the defense value. So we're looking at 5 with a 10 column. That is 4. So that will be -4 to his die roll when it comes to his attack. +2 for the task force. Not sure conform task force to just 2 frigates. Yeah, the question is, I guess you can. The maximum just says 4 units. It doesn't say they have to be combat units. Cargo ships aren't combat units. So it's -4 to the defense roll. Rolling for the Samson first. For some reason, you roll a 10-sided dice, which you shouldn't have done. Whoops. Rolls a 2. Okay, so let's see what actually happens. So he rolled a 2, and he was attacking it with 15 factors. So there's his 2. There's his 15. Doop, is there. And then he subtracts the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He causes 1 damage, which on the Samson, it's only got a damage value of 2, is enough to flip it. -4 net, -2 still amounts to 1 damage, which you can see he just flipped. So even with a good defense roll and a pretty rubbish roll from him, damaging these three, I mean, they're like paper thin. Flip Samson. Against the Stark, he's only got 3. He rolls a 6. Put -2 is 2. Also 1 damage here. Even with 3, because he rolled a 6, he gets the 1 damage, which is enough to flip it, which slows them down. Doesn't matter, they were in the task force anyway. Okay. You didn't have any air units to activate, so turn 2 activation cycle. So we're going into turn 2 now. Okay. Which, because we've only got 1 action cycle, we'll go into turn 2 straight away. Roll a 2 to see who goes first, and the US goes first. Okay. So as I've only got surface units at the present moment. Right. Just as an aside there, he shouldn't have been able to do that attack, but he did. So that would change the situation slightly, but these. Why is he moving his submarines if US goes first? I'm not sure there. What's going on? Okay. Something got messed up there. Anyway, we corrected itself. It was a 3. Soviets went first on turn 2. I'm not sure what happened. And again, this is not correct because I still haven't moved. So he shouldn't be able to attack me here, but he will be doing. Okay. Simpson attacks the Povsk with 7 ASW, whilst the Stark attacks the Prin with an ASW of 3. I'm attacking first. First is Simpson. Right, so I'm using anti-submarine warfare values. So again, let's have a look at the Stark, which is, sorry, the Simpson's got 4, the Stark's got 2. Simpson attacks Povsk with 7 ASW. Why have I only got 4? Hmm. Then the Stark 6, 3 damage, so a hit. The Stark attacks Prin with an ASW of 3. The values aren't lining up for some reason. ASW of 3, rolled a 6, is 3 damage. The values there correct. I think we were doing a correction because of, I honestly can't remember. We did this a while ago. The values aren't quite correct, but the 3 damage is a hit. And that now makes me detected. So I think we were just auto-correcting. I think we had a bit of chat, so he shouldn't have done his attack. So therefore, we did my attack before he did his. We just didn't reflip the units over. So we did auto-correct it. Okay. End of turn 2. So yeah, I think we realized we've made an error. Let me do my attacks here to correct it. Got a damaged submarine, and my ships are still damaged. Turn 3, who goes first? 1. It's the Soviets. Of course they do. Right. So now he's got this unit here attacking torpedo time finally. Posk with 12 torpedo factors. 9 to Simpson, 3 to Stark. ASW of 10. So we're still using, yeah. So these aren't actually damaged yet. Just flip it. That's how we corrected. Okay. And that's why he said finally. So when I was saying we did that incorrect before, we did do it incorrect. We corrected it by phone and texting and emails and such forth. And that's why I was able to damage that submarine. Now he gets his ASW of 10. Okay. ASW of 10. I roll a 6 as a defense value. So we're in that column 6. That's 5 off his defense. 5 off his attack, sorry. Okay. -5 defense. Simpson first. He rolls a 3. So his attack's a 3. Okay. And he's so much 9 against the Simpson. So his attack rolls a 3. And he's subtracting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he's also attacking 2 for task force. So that is a total of 0. No, nil point, no damage. Forgot to adjust the task force defenses -6, 0 damage. Against the Stark, 3, 0 damage. Okay, next sub comes in. Same target. 6 torpedoes, all towards the Simpson. ASW 10 again, it still keeps using that. 3 equal +2 for the task force, -4 defense. He rolls a 6. Right, 6 -4 equals 2. 2 damage, Simpson sunk. Let's just go through that. So it's ASW of 10, first of all. So in this column, rolled a 3 along that line. So it's -3 to the defense for the defense roll, plus the other 2 for the task force. That's minus. So it's a 5 to the roll. Is -4. He rolls a 6 and he's firing with 6. So 6 with a 6 is 4, but then he's got to subtract the 4 defense. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 is just enough to sink the Simpson because he's got a defense of 2. So, boom, gone. Okay. And then another submarine moves in. 9 towards Stark, 3 to Lopez, which is one of the cargo ships. ASW is now only 3. -4 defense. Stark first. 5. 2 damage to Stark, sinks it. Lopez, 5. 1 damage is not enough. Because the Lopez has got a defense value of 3. He needed 2 to sink it. So not enough. But now they've got no defense. 9 to both the Lopez and the Bobo because it's got a submarine value of 18. It's like sharks, isn't it? No longer a task force and therefore no ASW. It's not a task force because now there's only 3 ships. You need 4 for the task force. 6-sided 5. 4 damage to Lopez goes down. 6-sided dice 5. Bobo also to the waves. I then say this game is harsh. Okay. See if we can start using our destroyers to sink some of these submarines. Okay. Overly detected when performing torpedo attacks. So all his submarines are now detected. Merrill ASW attack on Pskov, which is this submarine here, I think. Yes. So I'm just going to zoom in here because all the action's around this area now. Okay. +4 to damage. Merrill ASW attack on Pskov. ASW is 7. So Merrill is not in any of these. Oh, there he is. All right. So ASW is 7. 4+ to damage. Okay, so when you come to using ASW combat, active submarines, surface units, or air units may attack and all detected submarines individually in target hex with an ASW value. Attacking submarine or surface units must be adjacent to target, which I am. Attack not allowed across all land hex sides. Attacking air units must be in the same hex as target. Up to 5 units may attack 1 target. +1 for tactical coordination. There is no defense roll. So there's a defense roll when the torpedoes are attacking surface ships, but there's no defense roll when you're using ASW values, as you would have seen if you watch episode 1. Okay, so 4 plus to damage. 6-sided dice, roll a 4. Okay, roll a 4. What was there? So 7. Roll a 4 is 3. It's just enough to flip him. Okay. Why is he not flipped? Okay, not sure why I didn't flip him there, but it should have been. ASW 6 against Hoverley. Missed. Okay. Hoverley should be flipped. Merrill S. Oh, it was on the Piscov. Turn the wrong one over. Yeah, Piscov. There we are. It was flipped. God, blimey. Pay attention. Right. There's just no, this task force can't go any other way. Can't loiter, can't wait. So yeah, it's just protection removal. It's the end of the third turn. So anyone that's not adjacent, detections are removed. Also, yeah, they're adjacent, so they remain because I've got enough anti-submarine value here to detect both of those units. You must have, I think it's more than 5 from memory. But I can't detect these units, but I will be able to in a moment because we'll be doing the turn 4 strategical air phase. You remember the sequence of play on here. In the 4th turn is the new AM. That should have been moved to there. There we go. So, my strat air, 1 on recon, 2 on tactical. I'm thinking I need some help with my air force. I only need to take 1 of these submarines. There are 5 of them. The recon is on the Shuva, which is that dude there. Sorry, I should, as I can, that one there. And then I'm using 2 a recon tactical coordination, 1 in each C zone. These will be pre-plotted on that chart I showed earlier. Okay. I'm just leaving them available when necessary. Action phase. Cycle 1, who goes first? NATO. Okay, maybe they can get away. Remembering this has been detected. Why we are... Oh, Mark wasn't showing. Okay. 6-sided dice needs a 4, is a hit, and therefore flipped. And Merrill at Hoverley, ASW 1+1 tactical air. So Merrill, which is this unit here, attacking the Hov. What I'm trying to do is slow them down. If I can damage them, notice their speed drops to 1. So that's the aim. Remember, this task force can move 3. So if we can damage enough of these guys and then try and outpace them, that's my thought at this point. Doesn't help if you miss. I rolled a 1. It's not enough to damage that submarine. Okay, even with the tactical air support. Right, trying to both FF fire at Hoverley with a combined ASW of 10. So this task force here has still got 7, 8, 9, 10 worth of anti-submarine warfare. So they're using that 10 against the Hoverley, use that same principle. 6-sided dice rolls a 4, got in this time. Right, so that's 4 of his 5 submarines slowed to 1. I was feeling okay at that point. Right, back to him. So also their torpedoes have dropped. They're down to 6. 6 torpedo factors all on the Rents, which is the frigate, I believe. The Rents, yeah, the frigate. So 6. I'm going to bring up the combat factors again. So he's using 6 here. I do get a defense roll. ASW 10 defense. I roll a 6. That's good. +2 task force defense is -6. He rolls a 4. So 4 take away 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 -2. With 6, that's a 0 attack. So you can see how it works. You get a defense roll, it subtracts from the attack roll, and that's how much damage is done. But there are so many. Another one comes in. Another same attack here, same defense roll, but this time only 1. So this first sub made us concentrate our defense against it, whereas the second one snuck in. We got a defense roll of 1 that time, which will only subtract 2 from the dice, plus another 2 for the being in a task force, -4. -3 defense. Okay, let's just check that. -2. Should be -4 defense there. 6-sided dice on the attack, so you roll a 3, take away 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be, it's only got 6 attacks, should be 0. Nah, you made an error there. There's 1 damage flips. Should be 0. Darn it. Okay. Little mistakes. This guy comes in. Also 6. There's 7 down. Now it should be 10. 5, -4, 3, 0 damage. And then the big boy. 9 to both Rents and Reed. ASW 7 defense. 5, -5. Roll Rents first. 2, 0 damage. Against the other ship. Reed now 1 damage, also flipped. Okay. And then he's attacking one of my destroyers here. ASW 6, same column. 6-sided dice, -4, 6-sided 5. 1 damage, not enough to flip because my ship has got a defense of 3. Ooh. Turn 5. First activation. I need to win this die roll. Okay. Because my speed now is, these are at 2 frigates. My cargo ships, going to call them cruisers again, are at 3. So even with 2, we can get away maybe from most of these submarines. So who's going to win it? Soviet. Soviet. There we go. Soviets. So now I get pulled to pieces. 6 torpedoes at the Rents. -4. 1 damage sinks here since already flipped. And then the other one, 6 torpedoes to Reed. Gone. Barely sinks. Doesn't matter if it's barely sinks or fully sinks, it's gone. Now he's starting to hit into the cargo ships. Sunk. And then 3 times torpedoes to 3 of the cargo ships. In order. 3, 5, 3, all sunk. And that is how you do it. ASW 6 defense. Sinks my cruiser, destroyer. I've got 1 left, and that's not enough. So I conceded at that point because he's already at decisive victory. I had to move first. Also, that first attack, taking my ASW value from 10 to 7, didn't help. We made a mistake there. There was a few little mistakes in there right at the beginning there. Having him attack first, then realizing he shouldn't have done. We corrected that. And then, yeah, that one there would have helped a bit, but the most important role there was the Soviets going first in turn 5. If I'd have gone first, I'd have gone 2 hexes, which had taken me to here. And I might have even just dumped the frigates and gone 3. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I can't do that. Once you're in a task force, I think you can. Yeah, you can. Ships can leave the task force. You just can't create a new task force because in the 5 cruisers, cargo ships would have been enough. So with 3, these, all right, would have been 1 attack. That would have attacked it, and that would have attacked it. No, that wouldn't have attacked it. So only 2 would have attacked it. Then I might have been able to pull them out. But this is a turkey shoot. Well, a turkey shoot is when you're actually fighting against planes. So what's this? Ducks, fishing, whatever. It's sharks, isn't it? Sharks. Yeah. The US are not hiding to nothing in this one, I think. But I tried. My main aim was to cut the submarines down to 1. And then what another little tactics I might have done was to keep this back. He did have 2 turns of leeway, this task force. Don't move him for 2 turns. Bring the destroyers up, try and take the submarines out, and then make a mad dash. I don't know. It's tricky. The whole point of the scenario, though, is to learn how to use torpedoes and defense range, because you weren't using those in episode 1. So let me bring this back up to the top, and we'll round off from there. Okay, so yeah, a few little errors there. That one right at the beginning, as I do apologise for that, because this was done about 2 months ago. We actually played it, so I'd forgotten about that. We corrected that I think we corrected by email. That his submarines couldn't detect me, therefore they couldn't attack. You can only detect when someone moves adjacent to you from one limited zone to another. And then that defense roll, it happens. Mistakes are made. He'd missed it. I'd missed it. The whole point of the scenario, though, is to learn how to play the game. So in the first episode, we introduced submarines with anti-submarine warfare value to purely submarines. Now we've got some strategical air, tactical air support, torpedoes, anti-submarines, again, using against the submarines and such forth. Scenario 3, which will be the next episode. I'm trying to remember what's in it. Bringing up the book. Boom, boom, boom. We're not playing with logistics yet. So scenario 3, surface action in the Mediterranean. So that will be featuring lots of SSMs against surface ships. Scenario 4 is aircraft operations, aircraft carrier operations. So that will bring in, obviously, one of the aircraft carriers. And then beyond that, myself and Harri are now on to scenario 5, which is the first of the intermediate scenarios, which I'll hope to bring, which has all 3 assets in play for each side. So I hope you enjoyed that. I do like this game. It's simple enough. I mean, it's still a fairly hefty rule book. We're not talking a comic or anything like that. There's a lot here. The game's not overly complex. There's just a lot of rules that you need to interact with and so on. We're not playing with logistics yet. You can track your fuel and ammunition and such forth. We hope to get there. And the aim is eventually to get to World War III or one of the big advanced scenarios where if we get there, hopefully, I'll break it down and such forth from there. But baby steps, baby steps. If you enjoyed that, please give the video a like. It all helps. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. Again, it all helps. And any comments, please, put them below. They all get read. They all get answered. It might be just a thanks very much, for your comment, or if it's you're asking a question or something like that, or critique. Again, I will address those. But until next time, play games. Oh, if you haven't got this, it's not too expensive on eBay and such forth. It's a great game. Get it. But until next time, play games, have fun. Bye, Internet.